This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. I need to cover more of Donald Trump, the Pope's death, and the supposed resignation of Klaus Schwab. And I guess I should say the supposed death of the actual Pope, because as we well know, most of these people exit the stage. They just are removed from a public spotlight, so the timing of the Pope and Klaus Schwab both being removed from the public spotlight on the same exact day is obviously very suspicious. But like I mentioned in my previous video on the Pope's death, of course, MAGA and the conservatives and the COINTELPRO alt-right media were going to use this to say that Donald Trump is defeating globalism and that the New World Order is all crumbling at once. And that's exactly what is happening. Donald Trump tweeted out after the Pope's death, after Klaus Schwab's supposed resignation, he said, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but rather by those who watch them without doing anything to stop them." And of course, most people think that he's implying that he is responsible for Klaus Schwab, his close personal friend, stepping down at the World Economic Forum. And of course, they believe that he's referencing the Pope, who is very well known to be a globalist. All the ideologies that the Pope supports, all the things that he wants the church to accept. Obviously, we've seen how they are manipulating MAGA into becoming ultra conservative. So every single thing that obviously the Pope was representing is something that's an abomination to him. And it should be, because the Pope is, of course, an abomination. But let's look into some of these things revolving around Donald Trump and the Pope, including what I talked about in regards to the prophecy of the popes, where it was predicted in the book by Saint Malachi that the 112th Pope would be Pope Francis, and that would be the last Pope in human history. And this will lead, once Pope Francis is no longer the Pope, it will lead to Rome being destroyed and the last judgment beginning. At the same time, another thing that I've covered is that book by Ingersoll Lockwood, The Last President, where the book is about the last president who happens to reside in a hotel on Fifth Avenue, which is where Trump Tower is located. The same author also penned some books called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and makes mention of Baron Trump in multiple novels. And the character depicted as the last president in that book is very similar, the characteristics to Donald Trump as well. So we're talking about similarities with the last Pope and the last president. Now, the other things that are out there, of course, is that the Pope dies supposedly at the age of 88. Let's just say the Pope is exiting the world stage at 88, the same exact day that Klaus Schwab is stepping down fully. Now, he's announced multiple times that he was leaving the World Economic Forum. This time, it is said that he is fully off board. He isn't going to be a member behind the scenes anymore. He's going to have nothing to do with the World Economic Forum. Of course, we all know that that is nothing more than hearsay. That is just him removing himself from the public eye, because, of course, he's become the face of the New World Order. And because of the things that Klaus Schwab has talked about, like the Great Reset and the book that he wrote, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, most people have figured out exactly what and who Klaus Schwab is and what his goals are. Like, you will own nothing and be happy. And he specifically wrote, "Following my recent announcement, and as I enter my 88th year, I have decided to step down from the position of chair and as a member of the Board of Trustees with immediate effect." So the key thing being there is as I enter my 88th year. He's 87 years old. But his only statement that he gave in regards to him stepping down was making sure that he put that number 88 in his exit speech. And obviously the number 8 is significant in regards to the infinity symbol. It's a very common symbol. I've exposed it many times on the website, many times on YouTube in the past. The infinity symbol is very significant to the occult. We all know that it means infinite, endlessness, limitlessness. And if you actually look at the infinity symbol, it's often represented as well by the Ouroboros, where we see the snake eating its own tail, which represents the eternal cycle of destruction and rebirth, which is another very common theme in the occult. And of course, 33 mirrored makes the number 88, and we all know what the number 33 means to the occult. Obviously, 33, the highest number in Freemasonry. It is their sacred number, 33 representing 1/3 of the fallen angels that were cast down from heaven. Of course, 33 representing the age that Jesus Christ was when he was crucified. Other things to note revolving around the Pope before I get into the new replacement for Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum and some of the hysteria that Alex Jones and the alt-right media are causing in regards to all these people are just stepping down. They're fearful of Donald Trump. He's stopping globalism. Well, he's obviously carrying out the Club of Rome's plan, which is the 10 Kingdom plan, and merging Greenland and Canada with America, which is eventually coming. It's been quiet lately, but you'll hear more about it in the future. The other thing that I wanted to note was that NASA actually tweeted this out. Love moves us towards the stars, right? Kind of something you would look at, you go, huh? Love moves us towards the stars? Well, most people wouldn't even understand what that means. It kind of sounds like a lot of the gibberish we heard from the fake Blue Origin space mission where the all-female male cast went up into a rocket ship, right? I broke that down many times. One of the fakest things we've ever seen them release out in the public. Of course, they're getting backlash on it because it was so fake that even the blind were actually able to see that they faked that. But unfortunately, most of them aren't questioning whether or not you can actually go into space and get past the firmament and go to Mars and go to the moon. They're just questioning if that specific trip was faked as a publicity stunt, when in fact they can't go anywhere, which is why they constantly are sending these rockets up and you're never getting new information. You're never getting new video proof other than some really bad imagery that they show you like India produced when they claimed to have gone back to the moon. But NASA says love moves us towards the stars. So most people would see that and they would just go, I guess it just means something because NASA goes to space with the stars. But really, that's a reference to Aleister Crowley. His quote, every man and every woman is a star. A star is an individual identity. It radiates energy. It goes. It is a point of view. Its object is to become the whole by establishing relations with other stars. Each such relation is an event. It is an act of love under will, right? See the correlation there? Love moves us towards the stars. The love under will. That's Aleister Crowley's do what thou wilt quote, right? Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. And we know, of course, with the deceptions that are coming, that the Antichrist will come in the name of peace and love. So now that Pope Francis is out of the public spotlight, and yes, they're showing Pope Francis with his open casket, and people out there say, well, that's confirmation that Pope Francis really is dead, right? As if they can't very easily fake that. We've all seen the CIA's ability to create masks. We've seen their ability to create fake bodies. So it doesn't mean anything that they're showing an open casket, but all the alt-right media is celebrating. Of course, they're trying to say, well, we're not cheering for Pope Francis's death. They're not questioning whether he's really dead or not, but they're saying the combination of Pope Francis and Klaus Schwab happening on the same exact day is divine intervention, right? It's an act of God. Alex Jones says the NWO is literally dying in front of our eyes. Two huge events just happened today. Globalist Pope Francis is dead. Klaus Schwab has fled the World Economic Forum. And of course, they want you to believe that this is everything to do with Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump is the one bringing in the New World Order, right? Even in that video clip, Alex Jones is holding up the triangle of power with his hands many times in the video clip that he posted, along with that tweet. And of course, is standing in front of a Tesla Cybertruck, because most of these people don't even realize that they've been worked into accepting these electric vehicles because they've taken Elon Musk and put him with Trump. Now, all of a sudden, all the conservatives who are anti-electric vehicles are okay with it because they want to support Elon Musk, right? Now they're all on board with this controllable electric vehicle nonsense, these ticking time bombs that are electric vehicles. And of course, you can see the pentagrams on the vehicle as well for Alex Jones. But they'll tell you that they're stars because they don't understand that it's about the points in the star. The 5 points of that star make up a pentagram. Okay, they get away with this in plain sight by telling you that that's a star on the car and a pentagram has lines through it. But it's not about the lines in the pentagram. It's about the points. Those are indeed pentagrams. And of course, nationalists don't ever want to see that because they love their American flag so much. So here's some of the things that these people are saying who are obviously MAGA supporters. Bombshell breaking. Prophecy activated. Pope Francis dead hours after meeting VP Vance. Unbelievable. Klaus Schwab resigns from World Economic Forum on the same day the global system is collapsing as ancient Vatican prophecy warns a final pope before Christ's return in 2027. And when I talked about that, I was not saying that the book, The Pope's Prophecy, is actual prophecy. I was saying that it's plotted out. It's scripted out. And they could very well be carrying out a simulation that looks a lot like the end times, which is what I've been warning people about. I'm not saying that Jesus Christ is returning in 2027 by covering the Pope's prophecy. None of us know the day or the hour. What I'm saying is watch how they start luring in conservatives with these narratives of the Pope's prophecy and how now we're going to get closer to the return of the king. Don't forget about Project Bluebeam. Don't forget about the things that they have planned to fake and simulate in the sky. So I'm telling people out there, not that Jesus is returning in 2027 because of this book. I'm telling you that this stuff is plotted out, and they can use these things to manipulate and deceive people. We obviously know of many great deceptions that are already occurring, kind of like the stuff with Donald Trump right now, right? But most of these people are so brainwashed, they think that Donald Trump is in opposition to the World Economic Forum, even though he's been in attendance many times. He was even in attendance via a video conference this year where he was gushing about all of his friends there, and Claus was gushing about him. And here they are together where he's telling us that Claus has done a fantastic job.
Why is it better to be here in Davos than in Washington, D.C.?
Well, we're here meeting with world leaders, the biggest, most important people in the world, and we're bringing back tremendous business in the United States, and they're all here to see. I'll be making a speech, and then we'll be leaving shortly. But I think it's very important. The other's just a hoax. It's the witch hunt that's been going on for years, and frankly, it's disgraceful. But we look forward to being here. Klaus has done a fantastic job. And again, we're meeting with the biggest companies in the world, the biggest businesses in the world, and world leaders, all for the benefit of the United States. We look forward to the meetings.
Why not have witnesses this
Is there to write on climate change, Mr. President?
Well, I'm a big believer in the environment. The environment to me is very important. Thank you.
Right, so they love to ignore these specific things because that's what people under mind control do. It's like somebody in a dysfunctional relationship, right? I often refer to that. You see from the outside somebody in a dysfunctional relationship, they might show up with a black eye and you know exactly how they got it. And you say, you got to get out of this relationship. And they go, no, it's my fault. I did something wrong. And they don't see it until they're out of the relationship. Well, that's what we have going on here because there's tons of evidence, including the 10 Kingdom plan, the Club of Rome's plan with Greenland and Canada and America becoming one, right? Part of the border down below to exile Mexico down into the other region. Trump carrying this out. Oh, they ignore that, right? All they want is information about a government-created rabbit hole called Jeffrey's flight log, yet they ignore all the photos of them together and the parties they attended together, right? But they want every other celebrity to be arrested and to be investigated, but not Donald Trump, right? And of course, they think that he's against Claus because he's playing 4D chess. That's why he's showing up at the World Economic Forum. He literally could kiss him on the lips, and they would say that it's 4D chess. But now that Claus has stepped aside, for anybody that doesn't know, the replacement, at least the interim replacement goes by the name of Peter Brabeck Lamont. You might say, I don't know who this guy is. Well, this guy is the head of Nestle and has been quoted in the past as saying that water is not a human right. It should be privatized. So I'm not quite sure how Alex Jones and the alt-right media believe that things are getting better, as if somebody else is going to step in, or as if the World Economic Forum is actually going to crumble. This is going to continue on. Klaus Schwab will still be calling the shots behind the scenes. He just won't show up on television anymore. Now you have a guy who they couldn't have picked anyone better, right? You got the one guy eat the bugs. Now you have a guy who says, well, water's not a human right, that corporations should be able to own water like Monsanto owns dirt. These are the things that these psychopaths actually believe. Here is your new CEO. Here's the CEO of Nestle, your new head chair, which they're saying is an intern position, which probably will become permanent, but it doesn't matter who they put in there because you could find dirt on every one of these guys that would go into this position because they've all said absolutely psychotic things like this. Here he is explaining about the water supply and why it's perfectly normal to sell bottled water, which just really sums up the state of the world. If you told people in the 1700s that they had to buy water, a small amount of water in a water bottle, and pay money for it, they'd say you're utterly insane. But that's what we've gotten to, right? And of course, we know there's certain states you can't even capture your own rainwater in. And this is what we've allowed our government to do, right? He who controls the food supply will control the people. Kind of like that other saying from Lyndon B. Johnson, he who controls the weather controls the world. But here is this psychopath talking about, well, owning the water and how water is a privilege, not a human right?
Well, I think that's a very, very crucial question. And it is being brought forward by some NGOs in a very simplistic manner. They are saying water is a human right. Therefore, it's not a commercial material. My answer to this is, yes, you're right. Water is a human right. The 25 liters of water that we need as a minimum as a person in order to live decently, which is my 4 to 5 liters of liquid, which I have to take to me, which is about the 4 or 5 liters for the cleaning. It's about the 4 or 5 liters that we need in order to clean the dishes. Yes, this is a human right. But I don't think it's a human right to fill up my swimming pool, to wash my cars, to water the golf course, or even to water the garden. I don't think this is a human right. And if we do not understand that the water, which is a human right, is the smallest part of the water that we are using, and that the big parts, which can be, just to give you a figure, I mentioned we need about 25 liters per day per capita. Well, we are using in the United States about 400 liters per day. So this 380 liters of water, I don't think this is a human right, and this should have a price. Why? Because if we do not put a price, we will not make the investments which are necessary in order to use the most precious of the resources that we have in a more responsible manner.
So that's your new face of the World Economic Forum. So there's no defeat here. The globalists are not taken down. This is just them getting more support behind Donald Trump to think that this is some type of divine intervention, not some type of scripted thing, where they deliberately did this with the number 88 being heavily used with Klaus Schwab on the same day as Pope Francis. This is not divine intervention. This is deliberate. Klaus knew the plan ahead of time. He stepped down on that day. And then, of course, Donald Trump has to tweet that out, right? The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but rather by those who watch them without doing anything to stop them. And then all MAGA thinks that it's some type of cryptid quote where Donald Trump knows something about what actually happened here. He knows about what happened with Pope Francis. He was just meeting with J.D. Vance, right? He probably told him that they were going to take down the globalists, and that gave Pope Francis a heart attack. And then Klaus Schwab saw it, so he stepped aside. I mean, they will believe anything. And of course, COINTELPRO agents like Alex Jones will continue to herd these people into believing in the left-right and staying stuck inside of the left-right paradigm, which, of course, is a creation of the globalists to keep the people divided via political parties that they control. So remember all those things I discussed in the video, just to recap the quote, the last president and the prophecy of the popes, very similar, right? With Donald Trump being mentioned as the last president. He's also told us that you'll never have to vote again. And the Pope being listed ahead of time as Pope Francis being the last Pope before Rome crumbles and judgment comes. We have the number 88 with the death of the Pope, and then Klaus Schwab, who says going into his 88th year that it's time to step aside. The infinity symbolism, the Ouroboros symbolism, the 33 mirrored, of course, NASA mentioning that love moves us towards the stars, which is literally just a quote directly from Aleister Crowley, who says that every man and every woman is a star. And I've broken down the star symbolism many times. I have a few videos on the website for anybody who is a member and wants to check it out. But these people are going to believe that Klaus Schwab stepped aside because he's afraid of Donald Trump. But all the evidence shows that they're buddies who are working together, including what we're seeing right now with Donald Trump and artificial intelligence governance, because that's a creation of Klaus Schwab, as is the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And if you read it, which most of these people don't, it talks about AI governance and the structure of AI governance. And what did Trump do on day one? Oh, he put $500 billion into creating AI governance infrastructure, right? And what is the buddy that he has? What's his name? Oh, right, Elon Musk, who has openly tweeted about Tesla being the ones who are going to bring in the Fourth Industrial Revolution with their technology and their humanoid robots and their Neuralink, right? Couldn't be more in our faces. Just people choose not to want to believe it because they want to put their hope in man instead of God. So the obvious signs are all around us that this is obviously very, very scripted and very, very staged. Do people die naturally? Yeah, sure. Does the Pope die naturally? Well, most of these people who are famous exit the stage. And when they do leave the earth, they do rituals underground where they believe that they're actually leaving one body, going into another body. They don't coincidentally die on the same day that Klaus Schwab is going to conveniently resign. These things are out there. There's too many suspicious things that you can connect to it that says this is a deliberate thing that's deliberately being done. And then Trump's tweet obviously shows us that by the way that the MAGA conservatives continue to get sucked into this psychosis of believing that this is an act of God and Donald Trump is really scaring the globalists, when the globalists that they're trying to take down are actually the ones they're supporting, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.